What is up, everyone, and welcome to some more F1 23. This time we are back in the Streamers & Co VRL for Season 2. Finally, we're getting underway. Round number 1 is going to be at Japan, and I am very excited to get this underway at last. A lot of familiar faces and a few new faces as well. My teammate for this season is the wonderful Beak. You know, we did clash on track a couple of times last season, but I still consider him to be a good friend of mine, and I am hoping that we can score big points for Haas this season. Antoine will be competing here and there, but I think he's generally sort of put himself down as a reserve driver for the series, so he'll just be filling in where other people aren't able to race. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to getting the show on the road at last, hoping that we can get a solid performance here in Japan. You know, this is a track that I'm not amazing at, if you've ever watched my team career videos, but I like to think that I'm at least halfway decent around here, and I'm hoping that I can prove that here in qualifying. As we come up to the line on our first flying lap, it is a 1:29.4. We're 2 seconds off the pace at the moment, and well, I'm going to need a much better lap if I want to have any chance of contending with pretty much anyone at the moment. You can see as I get onto my second flying lap, we're on the out lap at the moment, and I just lose control of the car a little bit and break off my front wing entirely, and well, we're going to have to go back to the pits now in order to have any chance of getting a good run on the board. We're currently down in P9 out of 17 people. But as we get onto our final flying lap, you can see we're in 13th. However, we are improving by quite a lot, so I'm hoping that we should be able to move up the order quite significantly here. Maybe ahead of the likes of Ryan and Mark here, and maybe a few other people as well. You can see I am ahead of Mark at the moment, but we don't get a great run through the final chicane, and that might cost us a chance of getting into the 127s. And as we cross the line, 1:28.0 is the time, and it's only P10 at the moment, and I would wager to say that some people are going to be improving even further beyond this point, and in the end it was good enough for P11, so we will be starting outside the top 10 for the Japanese Grand Prix, but hopefully we'll be able to make our way up the order, capitalizing on incidents, capitalizing on the pace of cars in front of us. You can see if I'd have improved by just another couple of tenths, we could have been P8 or P7, but yeah, so is how it goes. Phil directly ahead of us, both McLarens in fact, of Ryan and Phil. You know, I was racing with those guys all of last season, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to do something similar on this occasion. We had Andy topping the session here, and then I believe it was Dustin second, but I could be wrong about that. And I don't remember who was third. Man, my memory is going. But anyway, it doesn't matter, because we are now going to get ready to focus on our own race as we get into the Japanese Grand Prix. Beak not setting a particularly representative time there, I would say, and Dougie especially not setting a representative time down in P15. But I'm sure he will cut his way through the field like a hot knife through butter. I think it was Alex was the other driver in the top 3. That's Sim Racer, if I'm not mistaken. He's going to be gunning for the championship title this season as well. You know, he had to miss too many races last time around, but he says that this time around he should be able to compete in more of them, which he is hoping will enable him to sort of make a push for the championship and the top the top prize at the end of the 12 weeks of racing that we're doing on this occasion. But well, I thought about going on the default strategy, and then I thought about changing it. I was like, okay, maybe starting on the mediums is the call, and then switching to the softs later on. But then I was like, no, actually, because I think there's going to be an early safety car. So I ended up going on to the softs, going back onto the mediums, and basically just doing the default strategy as it was projected to be. So yeah, nothing completely different. But immediately as we get ready for the lights to come on and the lights go out, we've had a good start this time, and we're already getting ahead of Phil here. He's not had a great getaway, so we're making our way up into P10 off the start. Dougie jumping several positions off the start. He's already up into P12 behind us, and there's a spin there. Kaznuki and the Red Bull is round. I had to take evasive action to avoid them, and we make contact with Dougie as we try to re-enter the session, or re-enter the track, I should say. And so we lose a couple of positions there to Dougie and also to Mark, and we are in P9. So we didn't lose any net positions, but definitely we didn't gain quite as much as we could have done. And there is a safety car already. Now, you remember what I said. I thought there was going to be an early safety car, and so that's why I put the soft compound tyres on. But what you're about to witness is probably the most questionable decision I have ever made in any Formula 1 race ever. No, it's not. It's not that bad, but it's pretty questionable. Why? Why, if I was going onto the soft compound tyres to capitalize on an early safety car, did I think it was appropriate to then stay out and not pit at the end of lap 1? That makes absolutely no sense. You know, multiple cars coming in here, Dougie, Frederick, Dustin, so many people coming in at the end of lap 1 here. And I'm not one of them, and I absolutely should have been. From the soft compound tyres, I feel like there was basically no reason to stay out. So, yeah, very, very questionable decision from myself. But hopefully we can make it work even in spite of that. So we're currently up in P6. And, well, I like to think I have a little bit more pace than Mark. But we are nursing some minor front wing damage from that contact with Dougie. And maybe that will hamper our progress ever so slightly here. Obviously, the soft compound tyres will still be faster than the mediums at this point. At least we would hope so. And, well, it looks like they've gone, actually. And I got caught out a little bit there. So we are going to be making our way through. Someone definitely got caught out there. I'm not sure who that was. But, yeah, one of the cars up in front there seems to be going very slowly off the start. I think it might have been Alex. In the Alfa Romeo. You can see it's still Andy leading out in front, I believe, followed by Alex, then Antoine, then Ryan. We've got ahead of Mark up into P5. So, yeah, a very solid start from us, from P11 to P5. Not bad, but we do still have to pit, and there are a number of cars behind us who have already pitted. So, yeah, we're going to have to try and make this one work as best we can as we make our way round. Currently running in P5. Antoine also on the softs, so that makes me at least feel a little bit vindicated that my decision not to pit wasn't totally the wrong one. But, I mean, we'll have to pay attention to where Antoine is in this race before we jump to the conclusion that that was definitely the right decision to make. As we make our way now onto lap 5, you can see I'm starting to fall out of the DRS range of Ryan in front, and we've got a track limits warning. I'm not sure if that's our first or second. I think it's actually our second warning of the Grand Prix. So one more and we will be getting a 3-second time penalty. Really struggling around this track at the moment. Not quite sure why, but just don't seem to be able to make it work no matter what I do. We are just about outside of that DRS range, I think, on Ryan. At least when we went through the DRS detection zone, we were. So, yeah, it's going to be Mark trying to close us down with that DRS on this occasion. He's going to move to the inside, but he backs out. He decides it's not worth going for on this occasion. And honestly, I think that was very sensible from him. Very mature drive coming out from the Alfa Romeo driver there. But we will see whether he gets impatient as we continue to make our way through the Japanese Grand Prix, currently running on lap 6. I was feeling like, honestly, the tyres were already starting to go off at this point a little bit, and I think Antoine might have been feeling that too, because he definitely wasn't making the kind of progress you would expect for someone who started on those soft compound tyres. And we go very deep there into, I believe that's Degner 2, and that allows Mark to make a move before we get to the hairpin. So yeah, a little bit disappointing, but all in all, it is what it is, and we're just going to have to try and make do with what we've got at the moment. Currently running in P6, we have a lot of fast drivers behind us, including Frederick there, and also Lou. I think both of them, you know, are pretty fast drivers. I'd not raced with Frederick before. This was the first time I'd raced with him, so yeah, I didn't know quite what to expect, but he had a pretty solid qualifying. He was up there with the big boys, and also just generally he, you know, I could tell by the pace that he was showing in this race that clearly he was someone who was going to be probably in a bit of a different league pace-wise to myself. Lou, obviously, we raced with a number of times last season, and pretty much every time he always finished ahead of us. Mark having a bit of a moment there. He got into a spin. I had to take evasive action in the end. That caused me to fall off the circuit. So that allowed both Frederick and Lou to get ahead of me, and also Dustin here is going to go for a move, I think. So yeah, that's 3 positions lost as a result of that, which is immensely frustrating. But we do manage to actually get ahead of Dustin once again as he goes a bit deep into turn 1. Disappointment for Mark there, but disappointment for us as well, as we were just a complete passenger in that. And it's already the second time in 7 laps that kind of thing has happened, where we've just been kind of, you know, forced to take evasive action to avoid getting into a crash, and you know, just absolute disappointment on both occasions as we fall off the track. It's a very, very thin track. Disappointment there also for that sim racer Alex, as he you know, he also gets into a spin. Disappointing indeed, but Josh manages to capitalize on that quite a lot, because I go quite deep into Degner 2 once again. I was really struggling to get it slowed down quickly enough into that corner. We ended up losing out to Dustin and to Dougie and to Josh, and we find ourselves all the way down in P9. These tyres definitely have seen better days at this point, but yeah, I'm not really sure what I can do. I definitely need to go longer. You know, my pit lap is currently projected to be lap 11 It was initially meant to be lap 8, but because of the safety car, obviously they said I could go a bit longer on this, but I'm not sure that that is necessarily the right call. I'm thinking about potentially just boxing early and hoping for the best, but well, we're actually managing to challenge Josh into the final chicane. You know, we really held him up. He's had a not great run through there, so I'm hoping that maybe we'll be able to get him with the DRS. We've definitely pushed him outside of the DRS range, although he did have DRS on this occasion. I guess such is how much I held him up, that he was within 1 second going into the detection point, but almost 2 seconds down on Dustin, leaving the corner. But yeah, we couldn't quite manage to get ahead of them on that occasion as a result of him having that DRS as well. And the whole time he's just backing us up into Captain Liam further and further. You know, these soft compound tyres still do have a bit of life in them, which is allowing us to sort of stay in the fight here with Josh. But as we get into Degnas once again, I think it's going to be interesting to see whether I can keep Liam at bay. We definitely have a better run through there, but still, once again, we just seem to have no pace on the exit of that corner. And Liam making the move up into P10, and just absolute disappointment for us. I just can't seem to get it working. I don't know why. Liam now has got past Josh, and we find ourselves running in P9. I think somebody was boxed at this point. Not sure who. I think it might have been Alex in the Alfa Romeo, actually. And we go very deep into turn 1 and 2, and that allows Phil to get a bit of a run on us. But we're not letting this one go, you know. I definitely do want to try and stay in the fight with Phil if I can. He does eventually manage to push me a little bit wide, which compromises my run through the S's, and he makes his way up into P9. The tyre is definitely not working for me anymore. I think I'm going to box sooner rather than later, but for now, I'm going to try and see if I can stay with Phil, see what we can do with these tyres. We finally get a good run through Degna 2 after what felt like an eternity. Kaznuki behind us not managing to get the run on us for a change. But yeah, just absolute disappointment where we're running at the moment. I was at one point I was looking like I might be in P4 or P5, but yeah, not worked out for us on this occasion. This tyre strategy not the one, clearly, and yeah, we're just seeing what we can do to try and hold on to the positions that we've got. I want to see if I can try and close Phil down. Actually, I want to see if I can try and hold him up. I think he's already boxed in this race. I think he started on the mediums and went onto the hards, so he might not stop again. And if that is the case, then I want to make sure I'm holding him up as much as I possibly can to try and keep him at bay, and maybe try and close him down on my second stint. We do box eventually onto the medium compound tyres we're going to be coming in for, but yeah, it's not been the strategy we would have wanted here. Ideally, I should have stopped under that safety car. No idea why I didn't, and that was the first mistake I made in this race. Well, actually, the first mistake I made was going off the track when Kaznuki had that initial spin, and that cost me a couple positions. My second mistake was not pitting under the safety car, and my third mistake was going out wide when Mark had his spin. So yeah, we've just been a little bit of a victim of circumstance, but definitely there was more stuff I could have done to avoid some of the things that were happening to me on this occasion. We find ourselves down in P13 at the moment, but still a few cars left to box. I don't think this is where we're going to finish, if I had to guess. Hoping I could just try and capitalise on the pace that I've showed, and maybe try and close down some of those hard compound tyre runners. But we go very wide on the exit of the S's there. I'm not sure what I was doing, really. It just seemed like I had no grip. The tyre's still getting up to temperature. And it was very harsh that I got a penalty for that, in my opinion, given that I literally went off the track. I feel like going off the track should have been penalty enough, but apparently not. So we currently still find ourselves in P13, and a safety car has been deployed. I think it was Dustin has retired from the Grand Prix. I'm not sure what he did. I think he binned it, possibly. Dustbin Ruins living up to the name. And, well, we completely ignore the safety car delta. My head must have just been completely gone during this race or something. The number of errors I've made is absolutely catastrophic, and that is a drive-through penalty for us. So, yeah, that is basically going to completely kill our race. Nothing we can do about that anymore. We really should have avoided it. We should have just stuck to the delta. I don't really know what I thought I was doing, but yeah, that's going to be the end of our chances of scoring points here. It's a shame because we're running in P8 at the moment. I know we had that 3-second time penalty before, but still, yeah, absolutely no chance we're going to be able to do anything at this point, I would say, unless we get insanely lucky with other stuff, because we've still got to serve that drive-through. I'm going to probably stay out for a couple laps until I absolutely have to serve the drive-through penalty, because I want to try and just see what kind of pace I would have been showing compared to everybody else. And we're going to try and get a run on Phil here. I think we've caught him napping a little bit because he really wasn't expecting that from us. And we've pulled all the way alongside him, and we're even getting in front of him a little bit here. He does eventually dive around the outside of us, and Alex goes for a very opportunistic move there. So yeah, very impressive stuff from Alex, the boy in the Alfa Romeo. But yeah, we're still running in P8. We've got Antoine for company behind my old teammate. I'm not going to fight him too hard. If he does look like he's going to go for a move, I'm just going to let him go, because I want to make sure that he can get the kind of result that he deserves. And yeah, we're just going to see what we can do, see what kind of pace we would have been showing compared to everybody else. Most of them boxed again, actually, onto a set of fresh softs, so maybe I should have done the same. I know I've already boxed once in this race, but a lot of them had already boxed once, so I don't think we would have lost out too much there, if I had to guess. Antoine making the move into the hairpin, we let him go, and well, we're just going to keep falling further and further down the order, I think, to be perfectly honest with you. I think there's very little we're going to be capable of doing in this race from this point forward, as Lewis makes his way past Mark there, and I think he'll be getting ahead of us pretty quickly afterwards. Actually, by the time we get to Degner 2, he hadn't got ahead of us yet, but I mean, you know what I'm like going through there, so it was a pretty foregone conclusion that he was going to get ahead of me there, and we find ourselves all the way down in P10. So yeah, we've kind of just been going backwards in this race, unfortunately. We made a couple of good moves, but generally speaking, it's not been our day, and I'm just hoping that we can get this done, wrapped up as quickly as possible, so I don't have to deal with the pain of being overtaken by anyone else much longer. We seem to have some weirdly good straight line speed on the exit of the Spoon Curve and going into 180R, because we're closing down everyone with significant pace through there. Not sure what that was about. I guess something to do with the setup. Maybe the setup is running less downforce than the majority of people. Unfortunately, we did have to serve the drive-through penalty on this occasion, so I'll never know whether I would have got ahead of Lewis there or not. Doesn't mean much, because we still have that 3-second time penalty, and well, we're just going to have to see what kind of pace we can show. Currently running in P14. Maybe we can close down some of these guys a little bit. Beak and Mike and those kinds of guys. I'm not sure what happened with Beak there, but it seems like he's had a bit of a spin into turn 1 and 2. So yeah, we should hopefully be able to close him down now. Not sure what happened with him. But yeah, by the time we get to the end of lap 17, you can see that he's just kind of getting out of my way. He did say that to me, and I did tell him, please run your own race. Don't feel like you have to give me anything just because we're teammates. But I think he thinks that I have a bit more pace than him, which, to be honest with you, is probably true. I'm a lot more experienced in this game than he is. I think his bread and butter very much lies in the Gran Turismo series. He can drive rings around me in that game, as Dougie is retired from the session. So that's going to be another position gain for me. We're going to be up into at least P12 here, and looks like Andy is retired as well. So that's going to be 11th for us, and if one more person can get involved in some kind of incident, then maybe, just maybe, there still exists a chance for us to take at least 1 point away from this Grand Prix. That would be absolutely magnificent if we could, but I feel like, unfortunately, it's unlikely to happen. Looks like Andy actually manually retired from the Grand Prix, so not sure what that was about. Maybe some contact with Dougie or something like that. Maybe they would have felt bad about finishing. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, that is going to mean that we are going to be coming home in at least 11th. And unfortunately, I think there's going to be both Hasses out of the points here. You know, I definitely do have a bit more pace than Mike in 10th, but do I have 8 seconds a lap worth of pace more than him? No, I don't think so, at least. Unless he gets involved in some kind of incident, and to be fair to him, it does seem like he's run a pretty solid race here to find himself in P10 come the end of the Grand Prix. So yeah, a solid performance from him. A really shocking performance from myself, all things considered. Frederick ends up crossing the line first, but he actually did get a 5-second penalty post-race for an incident with Alex, which demoted him down to P3. It promoted Ryan into P1, and actually it was a McLaren 1-2 as Phil came home in what was 3rd on track, but ended up getting promoted to P2. So yeah, a shocking race from myself as we round the final couple of corners. Really disappointed with that, and yeah, we're just gonna have to hope that we can come a lot better than that in some of the races that we've got coming up. Next up is Spain, which is a track I always tend to do quite well at. It's a track I like quite a lot. I don't remember how well I did in Season 1 there, because obviously we did race in Season 1 in Spain as well. I think it was something like P8. We were on the wrong tyres at the wrong time in that race. So, yeah, couldn't take advantage of the strategy. Started on the hard compound, and there was an early safety car. Wasn't really much that we could do to capitalise on that. I'm hoping that we can have a better race this time around in this season, both in terms of in relation to the previous race and also the previous season. But we'll see what we can do. P11 here in the Japanese Grand Prix. Very, very disappointing. I really, if you think about where I was before I got that drive-through penalty, I was racing with the likes of Phil and Antoine, and I think if we'd have got the tyre strategy right, we could have been contending for, when I think about where Phil was at the end of that race, I think we could have been contending for a podium here, honestly. I think we could have been contending for P1, P2, P3, something like that. Not sure exactly what. Obviously, Frederick there, he finished quite a distance in front of everyone, to the point that Antoine, Phil and Ryan were all kind of racing with each other for that, what was P2 on track. Ended up obviously being upgraded one position. Antoine was less than 1/10 away from getting onto the podium as well, but nothing doing for him on this occasion. He does finish P4, and then it was Alex P5, Lewis P6, Mark P7, Liam P8, Josh P9 and Mike P10. So yeah, a really, really disappointing race for us not to be scoring even 1 point there. But these kinds of races do happen. I just need to make sure that they don't happen again this season, and hopefully we'll be able to claw our way up the order into a good position in the championship. I was gunning for top 3 this season, but with a race like that, it's going to be a mountain to climb. But that is going to be it for this video. So if you enjoyed, please make sure you like and subscribe. Next race in this season will be Spain, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.